All right, I'll be right back in. All right, so Micah is in my bow shop right now, setting up the lights and the cameras and stuff. He thinks we're filming a bow build for my new Lift X 29.5. And we are filming a bow build with the Lift X 29.5, but what he doesn't know is it's his. And I'm gonna give it to him at the end of the video. So make sure you guys watch. Micah works his butt off for us, filming, doesn't get to hunt very much. He's been shooting the V3X or something, the V3 or something like that. Never asks for a new bow, never does anything like that. So I'm gonna give him this Lift X 29.5. Hopefully the tuning and the setup goes smoothly and it fits him okay, but he deserves it, and hopefully he's excited to get it. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are building another Lift X. We already did one Lift X bow build. This time though, we are building the 29.5 inch version of the Lift X. My main bow that I hunted with all year was a 33 inch, which is what I like, and it's the only one that really goes to my true draw length, which is 31. So this one is 30 inches, the draw length, 80 pounds, 29.5 inch axle to axle. I ordered this bow all blacked out with really short bridge lock stabilizers, the shortest ones they make, just for hunting in blinds, because when I hunt in blinds with my long draw lengths and a long axle to axle bow with big cams, it's really hard for me to not hit the front of the blind and the back of the blind and the top of the blind. I'm a big guy, so I really wanted a compact, blacked out lift just for that scenario. So we're gonna quickly skip a lot of the little details that you guys see in all my bow build videos and really just kind of overall show you the setup of this Lift X 29.5. All right, so first I'm gonna bolt on this back bar bracket. I always run front and back bars, and I think honestly everybody should. So let's go ahead and get this bolted on. This just keeps the bow balanced left to right and forward to back. You know, with the bridge lock technology, it's not as important as it used to be to run a back bar, in my opinion, because everything is centered in the riser. However, the weight is still kind of off to the right. So we're using, on a right-handed bow, this back bar to kind of counterbalance what used to be the sight, the rest, and everything on the right side of the bow. We're countering that weight, so it's a lot easier to level. However, if you shoot with a quiver on your bow, which I highly don't recommend, then you definitely, it's way more important to use a back bar than ever. So let's go ahead and get that on. Okay. So what's really cool about these bridge locks is before, like with the old and other, you know, brands of V-bar brackets, they're just kind of long and slick, and when you go to tighten that bolt up, it turns the V-bar bracket so you can't get it level. This has a stop on it right back here that these bridge lock V-bar brackets slide against the riser, and it locks it in place level. So you just slide that all the way against the riser and tighten that bolt down, and you don't have to worry about it, you know, going above level there. So we're gonna put this little one in the back here. Let's go ahead and get this started. Then let's line this one up here. I like to look through. They have dimples on them. We're going to stop at the first one. Yeah, and once I get that in, one of the things I really like to do, let's see, is take a Sharpie. So I really like to take a gold or silver Sharpie, and so right here where they meet, because a lot of times when you take these in and out for travel, you're constantly like trying to stare, and you have to get a light and shine in there to see where these dimples are. I just take right here and mark a little line right there. And so now it's so much quicker for me when I'm taking this on and off, instead of having to look and see those dimples or whatever. I take this out, I have that line right there on it. I just slide it in until that line has no gap in it, And then you can feel that when it gets in that dimple and it won't go out anywhere. So then you tighten it down and you don't have to take near as much time looking at it. So I'm gonna get that, just eyeball that where I think it might need to be and just kind of snug that down so it doesn't move all over the place while we're setting up. Okay. All right, so now we're going with the front bar. So the first dimple obviously is going to be the furthest one out, which will be more than likely the one that it's used on. However, if for some reason I ended up using this bow in a tree stand scenario, I would go to a longer bar. We got to be real careful with these. If they get any like paint or anodizing in there and it starts to lock up, you have to stop because it'll strip those out. Make sure we're not grinding that off. I got several more right here. Let's just make sure. Man, that's not wanting to go in there at all. Take and clean that out real quick. I don't want to booger that up. Can't tell what's going on here. There we go. So I use a little bit of string wax, which I recommend on a lot of things like this. You just put a little bit of string wax on there and it keeps it from loosening up, for one, while you're shooting it, but it also helps that taper slide down into these little dimples without it binding really hard. So I cleaned those threads out. Now it's sliding in. If it ever catches like that, sometimes there'll be like a flake of metal in there, and if you just keep going, it can cross thread that, and it causes, well, obviously you have to rethread it. But so just make sure that when you're doing that, you're not just powering through, and you get a good, make sure you clean it good, put a little wax on it. All right, gonna look through for this initial one. It is in that dimple right there. And I'm going to tighten that down and again put another mark right here so that we can do the same thing with this front bar. All right. Now we're going to bolt this QAD integrate on. I've been with QAD for years. Competition, tournaments, all of it. They, in my opinion, hands down, make the best rest for anything you're trying to do with a bow in your hand. So this little interior screw, you loosen, line it up. There's a line. I'll show you in just a second. So what I try to do right out of the box is line that up. Turn it where you can see it. There's a little like line that's etched into the riser here on this dovetail, and you just line this little white arrow up with that, and that'll give you the most room up and down to really gain adjust that. So that's what I like to do right out of the gate. We'll lock that in pretty good. Then we're going to take this one here. We're going to clamp it in right here. And this is what really locks it down tight. So honestly, we'll have, now we want to take this outside piece off unless we need to really adjust the up and down of that rest, which I do not foresee us having to do that at all. So we can just now loosen this and then adjust with this micro adjust knob right here up and down for any micro adjustments we need to do. But for now, I'm going to snug that up. All right, and we're going to have to put that in the press, obviously run this through the cable later in the process. But let's get this side on now. This is the Excel landslide. It's a 5-pin on a mover, which you use your bottom pin. Your 60, I do 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, use my bottom pin as the rover when I move it on the slider. So this is already leveled. Most of that work's already done. Like I said, I'm taking out a lot of the work here. So, and all these new Matthews bows come with a bridge lock screw. I think I already threw that away as far as the little case, but it comes in a case hanging off the riser. It's this little screw right here. So there's no more bolting brackets on the outside and all this extra weight and just looked bad. So now everything is so sleek with this bridge lock. You slide it through the riser and then tighten all this down into those dimples of the sight bar again. All right, which one? This one. Yeah, had it. So this is one of those things, I really never take my sight off. So I'm not super worried about putting a mark on it, especially if you're using these little short aftermarket bars here that they make for these sights, because there's really only one spot you can put them. So once it gets in that dimple to begin with, which I was in it, I just tighten it down really snug, and that'll probably never come back off there unless you want to put a different sight on, or for some reason it won't fit in your case, which I don't have any cases that this won't fit in. It's pretty compact and close to the riser. But if that's the case, honestly, you just loosen that, slide your side out, and you'll be good to go. Once that's tightened back into that dimple, as long as it goes in the same spot, it's going to hit the same. So now we have the sight, the rest, the stabilizer's bolted on. We got the grip I'm going to try. I'm normally a side plate guy. We're using this Bond grip system from Matthews. And we are taking, let me see, I'm not familiar with these names yet, but this is called the taper. And it's a little bit of a steeper angle grip I'm going to try on this one. So let's snap that one back on there and go from there. So I think now we're going to have to take this, put it in the press, get the knocking loop on it at our starting position, and get this cable through, or this rope through. Let's go ahead and do this. I'll tell you what. So on these, I think I did this before. What I like to do, there's a set screw in here. Let me see if I can find it. Where is this at? Right here. So on this rest, there's a set screw. I want to loosen this right here. Makes it way easier to adjust later. And I'm going to push this back through. I might have to loosen that quite a bit because it's tightened through. Let me get this loose here. Here we go. There we go. So now you can see when you loosen that, you can push this through. And this is how you micro adjust your timing on your rest with your cables. It's not, you don't have to get it perfect tied in. You just have to make sure you leave yourself enough slack here that you can micro adjust it perfect here. And then once you get it perfect, you're going to take and tighten that back down into that rope. And that's how you adjust the timing of your rest. A lot of people do that, try to do that here. And if they don't get it perfect and they didn't leave themselves any slack here, it's a major issue. You have to put a new piece of rope through and start all over again. So make sure before you start adjusting your rest that you just pull enough slack through that you can just tie this off down here and then use this to adjust the timing. So now I think it's time for it to go in a press. So we are now in the press here. First thing I want to do is put the knocking loop on. So before I do that, I like to measure between the axles, but it's very important if you're doing this in a press to make sure there's no pressure from the press on this, or it will influence where those axle screws are. So I'm just got this loosely in the press, and I'm going to measure from the center of that axle screw find center and then go 1/8 above it. So right here we are 14 and 15/16 to the center of the knock, and from here we are 15 and 1/16. I could never do that again, but we are exactly 1/8 above center. So now I'm going to take a piece of knock and loop. I use the Spectra from BCY. I think it's number 20. Let me look at this real quick, tell you, because this is the best stuff. Yeah, 23. It's 1.6 millimeter braided Spectra from BCY, number 23. It is the softest, most limber, smallest diameter loop, D-loop material you can get. And I would very highly recommend you stay away from stiff D-loop material because it's a nightmare. So I'm going to go ahead and mark this so in case it moves, we can go right back below and above to where this knock needs to be. Alright, so first I'm going to tie the top side knock and loop off, and then I'm going to tie a soft knot underneath. Alright, so I'm going to tighten this down now once I have it slid to, so the knock is exactly where I want it. I slid this to the top. I'm just going to snug that down with my fingers so it doesn't go anywhere. Check that one more time. We're good. So make sure this doesn't get in your way. Now I'm going to go and tie a soft loop off with a piece of serving. This isn't as important. I use a smaller diameter, 14 thou halo serving, but you can use really anything. The trick here is I try not to dig too far down into my serving. And I start it away from the knock, about 1/16, tie a knot, and then I just work. You snug it, but you don't want to like cinch it through your serving down to the actual string material. So I go under, then I go one wrap closer to the knock. There, snug it, one wrap closer to the knock until you're touching the knock. You don't want to like be so tight against it that it starts pinching it. So that's perfect. It just touched the knock. Now I'm going to work my wraps back on top of each other away from the knock one time. Snug that into itself. Do one wrap more. Make sure you stay in those grooves. And then I'm going to do one wrap alone outside of the original knot against the serving. And I'm going to tighten that one down pretty snug. This is your finish knot. And then I tie this last loop off and leave it sitting there. And then my wife has taken my tack glue. I remember her texting me the other day. So let's get a new bottle off of here. And I'm just going to run a dot of super glue in that knot so that it doesn't, I never have to worry about that coming undone. So let's take this and just cut a little pinhole there. It should be enough. Yeah. So then I'm just going to drop a tiny dot of glue right there. And then I cinch that serving down into that glue so it's really in there. So I'm going to take that arrow out. And then I kind of spread that over that little knot so that it never wants to work loose at all. I'll cut those. What just happened here? Cut that, and burn them flush. Okay, now I'm going to finish tying this knot. I just want to make sure the length is right here. Get it right before we get too far. Gonna need to go a little shorter because it's gonna stretch quite a bit, so we'll do that. Okay, then you want to mushroom that out. The only thing about this number 23 Spectra stuff is it does not mushroom out easy like a lot of it. So you have to really work to get this material to fuzz out and make a head on it so it doesn't pull back through. So once you have that, I like to take a pair of pliers, hold it right against the back of that so I have something to flatten it out against. Right there. And then I'll burn it against those pliers. Get it where it has like a melted ball on top, and then you just flatten it out. And then I'll turn it one time, give myself a little more space, and do the same thing. And so now we have a good catch, so it won't slide back through itself. Then we go across and tie the knocking loop off. And I have done a lot of videos on each of these things specifically, tying in knocking loops, serving, all that stuff on our YouTube channel here. So if you want to see exactly how to do this in detail, then just go back through our archives here and you'll find the video of tying in knocking loops and how, to specifically do that there. So that one's done. Now we are going to pull this loop material, or this, that's really D-loop material, through the cable for the rest, and then try to get that close, and then we're going to tie the peep in. Let's go ahead and press this down, get this peep in. Got this to center it here, find the center of that string right there, and let's get this peep in. And back out and see what we've got. Pretty dang close, guys, to turning the right way. So it's a good start. We'll pull our knocking loop over and see how close that is once we get it out of the press and pull it back. But okay. All right, now that we got the peep in, let's just go ahead and press this again and put this cable, or this rope through the cable below. We'll go right in the center of that. Stick it up through there. Pull that tight. Let it back out. And just snug it up here till we can get a good look at that. That's good. So see what we need to do with that. All right, so I'm going to cut these. I always leave this in. It's what comes in the Matthews bows to help you find the center. So I'll leave it in, but I'm going to cut it off a little shorter. And then I'll burn the ends of it so it doesn't fray as bad. It's still going to end up fraying, but just kind of cleans it up a little bit. But I don't take those out. Burn those edges a little. And just leave them in there like that. All right, so let's get this out, check peep height, get this knocking loop tied in the right place, and we are getting a lot closer to having this bow ready to tune. All right, guys, so I got it off the press. I'm going to pull it back, see what the peep looks like as far as how it's turning up and down. It's going to be really, really close, if not perfect. And then make sure of where I need to tie this loop material off for my rest. That way it's close so that this slack I can actually fine tune it. But that's what we're looking at right here. Oh, peep turn perfect. And it is perfect. Holy cow. Okay. So now let's look at the rest. Draw, see. That's when it hit the mark about an inch before. This is a hard thing to do. Right there. So that's perfect to tie this off to. So the peep's good, honestly. I don't know if it's going to get any better. I mean, it's turning perfect. feels perfect in my anchor for all my pins and my housing. I'm going to fine tune that a little bit out to 40, but I'll probably go ahead and at least temporarily tie that peep in so I can go shoot it, but it's really close. And then I'm going to cut this and tie a knot off on it and then micro adjust here. So we're going to put it back in the press now and get all that done. So I am tying a knot. I marked where it needs to be on the back side, so I just tied a knot off, flared this end out. I'm going to burn it here and then mash it down into the knot. So there's actually no slipping whatsoever in this knot. And then I'm going to pull it and then really tighten that knot through that cable so there's no stretching later on that can't pull through. And then now we can micro adjust here with that. But while I got it here, I'm going to go ahead and tie this peep in. So again, guys, I'm tying this peep in. Not saying much, not really showing you the details, but if you want to see the details of how I tie this peep in, there's two different ways that I tie them in. This is the latest way, and I think the label is like a new way to tie a peep, and we might even link those videos in this one. But again, if you want to see detailed versions of how I tie my peeps in, just go back. I've got tons of videos on that. So just dropping a little bead of glue on this serving, that way it ain't gonna come fraying unloose. Okay, so that's the peep. This knot's in. I just need to pull it back again and check that timing on the rest, and then we'll put in the draw board, check the actual timing of the bow, and then it's time to paper tune this sucker. Okay, let's see what this looks like here. Probably gonna have to move it a little bit here. Actually not. It hits right there, an inch. That's perfect. Dang! Ha! We didn't even, I'm gonna still leave, I'll probably cut about half of that off and then leave the rest, just in case mods get changed or something like that later. And I'll burn that so it doesn't fray out. There we go. Now it's time to shoot it through. Oh no, let's put it in the draw board. Let's put it in the draw board. Getting the cart in front of the horse here. Feels close, honestly, pulling it back. I can tell when the mods aren't hitting even close to the same. It feels pretty good, so I imagine this is going to be fairly close. Let's go ahead and get this back about there and then go out with it. Roll over. I think I can let it go now. Okay, so let's see where we're at. We got that is actually top hit there, bottom just touching. So that's actually very, very good. You can see how the peep is turning perfect too when it hits the stops. It's a good way to check on this last chance press and draw board. You check the way your peep's rotating. You check your rest timing. You can check your cam timing, which is good too. It's a good way, like if you're by yourself, to check all this stuff without having to draw it back. Everything looks great. Time to shoot it through paper. All right, guys, first shot through paper. We're going to see how how this does. Everything is lining up pretty good. I hope that this is pretty close. Everything has kind of been eyeballed, so we'll just have to see. I'm going to go high left on the paper here. Very good. It's a just a touch high and maybe a tiny bit right. So when you have a high tear, a lot of times that means weak. So we're going to have to move the rest up a little bit because that arrow spine might be a little weak. So move the rest up a tad and to the right, instead of moving the rest, because we have the rest at 13/16 dead center shot. Now with this new tuning feature on the lift axe, we can just take this off, which is what I'm going to do next, and shim the cam right. You always chase the tear with your cam. So if it's a little right, I'm just going to ever so slightly shim this cam towards the tear, to the right. I mean barely. That's barely any right, but it is just a little. So let's get that done. Let's move the rest up. So how we're going to do that is loosen this right here. And then we're going to look at those. It is on probably, we're going to go to 0 with it. That's normally where it starts. For some reason it wasn't. So we're going to be back to 0 right there. Then let me see, I got to find the right tool. All right, so I'm going to take this off, this outside screw here. Right there. Then there's a little bigger Allen head inside. Maybe that one. No, one size bigger. No, one size bigger. Right there. Now we're going to shim everything to the right, which I believe will be tightening it. Nope. Loosening it. Just a touch. And you have a mark on the axle and then etched marks on this little the bow press piece right here. So I moved it like, I'm talking about like a 64th of an inch. And then we'll put this back in and see what that did here. Such a nice tuning feature on these things, just to not have to put it back in a press, not to use top hats, not to have to move your center shot. You got it on the top and the bottom cam, so that if you need to move it a long ways, you can. I don't imagine that we're going to have to. So let me pull this. All right, let's shoot this through and see what happens. Ooh, that's nice. That's nice. Left and rights are gone. Still possibly a touch high. So let's bump it up just a little bit more here. Take the rest. Then we're going to go to the first mark below 0, which means moving that rest up. And this time, Mike, I want to look at something on the riser. I'm gonna have you shoot it through. If you want to just keep rolling and see what this is. I'll pull the arrow. Here you go. You can stand right here. Make sure. I'm using my that 60, the bottom pin.
The 60?
Yeah, 1 second. Let me hang on 1 second before you draw back. I'm gonna look at my
You shooting this Longhorn?
yeah, it's pretty hot though. So go ahead and shoot it.
Aiming with your 60?
Bottom, yeah, aim with your 60. I would aim just to the right of that. A perfect bullet hole, bro.
Yep. feels good.
Fits you good.
Yeah, it does.
I can't believe it shoots a bullet hole with you. We don't even
Mine
gotta.
always shoot like yours though.
Yeah.
I've always been able to hit with yours.
We don't even gotta retune it now that it's yours.
What do you mean?
No, it's yours.
The bow?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, that's why I was like, we can temporarily set the peep and all that. Yeah, dude, you haven't got a new bow since the V3.
Yeah, I'm shooting a V3.
You're always like, nah, dude, I'm good. But now you got a Lift
Dude,
X.
What?
Yeah, the bow don't even go to my draw length.
I was wondering if it fits perfect.
Yeah, I know. I was like, I tried to guess. I thought that was your draw length, but.
Thanks,
And you're
bro.
going to Illinois next week, and I was
Yeah,
like,
I'll
I
be able to
can't
shoot
let him go out there with a V3, bro. He's got to have the new one.
it. Dang.
So there you go. Blacked out, murdered out Lift X, 29 and a half.
Freaking sick, bro. Thank you.
Bro, a perfect bullet hole, too. I was like, I don't know how this is going to go if I sight this in. But
Appreciate it, bro.
yeah, dude.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, boy. Sick.
Now you just got to put the quiver on.
This is crazy. Cool.
Heck yeah.
Well,
All right, guys.
for myself.
Micah's got a new Lift X,
Yeah.
and we're going to bolt the quiver on, and he's got the arrows already, the LRPs. So.
Mm-hmm. Sick, dude.
Which camera are we looking at? That one?
I don't even know.
Anyways, guys, whichever camera you're watching from, thank you for watching. Another bow build, Lift X. Now, hopefully, here in a few weeks, you'll see Micah kill a big Illinois buck with it. But if not, it's just because he sucks.
Might kill something with it. Might. I'm at least going to shoot the crap out of it.
Cool.
Yeah, this is sick. Thank you, bro.
No problem, dude. Thank you. Thank you guys for watching. Please hit subscribe, hit the like button. We'll see you on the next video.